Night has never been just the empty space between two mornings. It is a hidden kingdom, a realm that most people pass through every day, yet never truly step into. When the final light of day fades, a door opens. Beyond that door lies not a void, but a living kingdom where human consciousness quietly transforms and becomes the artisan shaping its own destiny. In the silence of night, when the noise of the world is set aside, sleep begins to operate like an alchemical furnace, where every thought, every affirmation, every whisper is melted down, refined, and crystallized into the form of tomorrow. Modern science has proven that during sleep, the brain enters special wave cycles. Theta and delta waves open the space for the subconscious to receive every impression in its purest form. This is why affirmations whispered before drifting into sleep hold such a wondrous power. They are not opposed or denied by reason. They are absorbed completely, like seeds falling into fertile soil, ready to sprout when dawn arrives. The ancients called this the alchemy of night, because in that seemingly quiet span of time, the human mind is transforming invisible thoughts into visible results. Picture the night as an ancient nursery. In the daytime, if you plant fragments of worry, doubt, and careless words of self-denial, then by morning, that garden will return to you fatigue, scarcity, and disappointment. But if before falling asleep, you choose to plant new seeds, clear and powerful affirmations, the subconscious will nurture them like a patient mother, so that when the morning comes, you receive confidence, strength, and opportunities that appear almost by chance. Yet nothing is accidental. Night always remembers what you entrust to it. In many ancient civilizations, sleep was considered a gateway to the sanctuary. Egyptian priests entered temples dedicated to dreams, where they lay down and were guided to sow images of healing into the subconscious. In Greece, the temple of Asclepius welcomed those seeking restoration. They slept in sacred chambers, and upon waking, illnesses vanished or the path to healing became clear. Ancient Indians called sleep the silent teacher because it answered questions that the waking mind could not resolve. Whether east or west, the common truth remained: night is an alchemical kingdom, where what seems impossible by day becomes possible in the stillness of darkness. If the mind by day is like the blazing sun, shining yet casting shadows, then by night it is the gentle moon, reflecting, cleansing, and clarifying the deepest layers. It is in that stillness that the affirmations of I am echo with the greatest power. They are not merely words, but codes. I am opens the gate, and whatever follows becomes engraved into being. I am healthy. I am prosperous. I am at peace. Each affirmation becomes a directive for the subconscious, like a blueprint for a reality that is forming. The alchemy of night does not rely on straining effort, but on intentional surrender. By preparing for sleep as a ritual, you transform the act of lying down into an act of creation. Imagine that each thought, each emotion, each whisper is a color on a palette. When you close your eyes, you hand that palette to an invisible artist, the subconscious, and it paints the picture you will live in the next day. Night is never careless. It listens, it remembers, it responds. Those who do not understand this let complaints and unconscious anxieties become commands sent into the universe. Those who grasp this power consciously choose every word, every thought, every affirmation as if selecting precious gems to place upon a crown. The difference between the two is not in circumstance, but in how they step into sleep. The alchemy of night is like fire. Those who use it carelessly are burned by obsessions, fears, and chaotic dreams. But those who know how to use it turn it into a flame that illuminates, melts every limitation, refines every ability, and returns a more radiant version of themselves. Night is the silent jeweler, and what you whisper in darkness becomes jewels at dawn. As you step into night, ask yourself, what are you entrusting to the universe? Do you whisper words of denial, or do you plant seeds of power? Do you let the subconscious be led by randomness, or do you command it with a clear affirmation? For it is you who chooses the seed, and night simply fulfills its role, nurturing and multiplying. See the night as a vast dominion where each person has a throne awaiting. When you close your eyes, you sit upon that throne, holding the scepter of I am. Every declaration spoken from that position becomes law. No one else but you can issue decrees to your subconscious. And the strange thing is, those decrees do not remain within dreams. They step out with you into the morning, becoming opportunities, encounters, and changes you never expected. The alchemy of night is both ancient and modern, mystical and scientific. It does not demand blind faith, but patient practice. Just 7 nights are enough to notice the difference. Each night, choose a single affirmation, clear and present. Repeat it like a refrain in your mind until it becomes the music that carries you into sleep. In the morning, observe how reality begins to shift. Gradually, you will realize sleep is not a suspension of life, but a secret factory, tirelessly working to recreate your destiny. The hidden kingdom of sleep is not far away. It opens the moment your eyes close. The key lies in what you carry into the dream realm. If you carry fear, you hand it power. If you carry pure affirmations, you hand yourself a weapon. And when dawn comes, you will see the miracle is not in the beginning of a new day, but in who you have become after a night of renewal. Night is the silent alchemist. Sleep is the furnace. The subconscious is the smith, and every I am is the metal placed into the fire. Tomorrow is nothing more than the inevitable result of what you allowed the night to shape. Remember, when you close your eyes, you do not leave life, you enter the secret kingdom, where you are both king, alchemist, and architect of your own destiny. In the ancient markets of Damascus, where the wind carried the fragrance of incense and spices from distant lands, a young merchant named Michael sat silently beside a silk stall that had nearly run empty. The silks that once shimmered like the desert sunrise had dwindled to just a few worn pieces, faded like his own dream of a once wealthy family renowned across the Silk Road. By day, Michael watched the bustling crowds with a heart heavy with disappointment. Yet each night, as the city grew quiet, he spread the last piece of silk across the rooftop, gazed at the starry sky, and whispered his prayers. Only silence answered. His pleas dissolved into the darkness, leaving him with nothing but emptiness, without a single glimmer of hope, until one night, carried by the cool desert breeze, a figure appeared. It was an old woman with silver hair and eyes bright as a new moon. She laid her frail hand upon the silk and softly said, "These threads once heard the voices of your ancestors. They were steeped in prosperity because they were lulled to sleep by words of powerful affirmation, but now they hear only sighs and despair." Michael was astonished. He had never imagined that fabric could remember, could resonate with the words spoken by humans. The old woman smiled. "All things know how to listen when a person speaks the words I am. From dusk until dawn, the universe opens its ears. Whatever you speak in that span, it engraves into the very flow of your life." Those words planted a fragile spark within Michael. That night, in the space between waking and dreaming, he tried it. Placing his hand upon the silk, he whispered, "I am wealthy. I am prosperous." At first it felt clumsy, as though he were lying to himself. Yet something strange happened. The fabric beneath his hand seemed to warm, to tremble faintly like a breath. Michael closed his eyes and kept whispering. Night after night, he repeated it, until the words became a lullaby carrying him into sleep. Then small changes began. Customers lingered longer before his stall. An old trader who had long forgotten the Rodriguez family suddenly returned with an offer of partnership. One connection after another, one door after another opened, as though the universe had decided to reply. Within months, his poor stall transformed into a treasury of silks, dazzling in colors like rainbows draped across the desert. A year later, the name Michael Rodriguez once again echoed along the Silk Road. The man once forgotten had become one of the wealthiest merchants. And then, the old woman appeared again, this time with a gentle smile. "You have remembered the secret. Night is never silent. It always waits to weave your dream into destiny." Michael's story is not just the legend of a merchant. It is a mirror for anyone who knows how to use the power of sleep. The subconscious is the silk of your life. If you allow it to be drenched in worry, fear, and despair, by morning it will weave a fabric rough and dim. But if you patiently whisper affirmations, that silk will glow, reflecting wealth, health, and joy. No need for haste, no need for doubt, only trust and repetition, allowing the night to do its work. Remember that sleep does not erase your thoughts, but engraves them into the foundation of reality. Michael once despaired, believing his prayers fell into a void. But that void was in truth fertile soil. When he changed the seed, he changed the harvest. And each of us stands before that same field every night, waiting only to see which seeds we choose to sow. When you lie down, imagine yourself spreading out the invisible silk of destiny. Place your hand upon it and gently whisper, "I am." Choose a simple yet powerful affirmation, stated in the present tense, as if it were already true. I am at peace. I am whole. I am abundant. Do not let the mind argue or doubt, for that is only the leftover noise of the day. Let those whispers cradle you into sleep, knowing that each word, each echo, is being woven into the silk of the subconscious. Michael's story proves that transformation does not come from physical strength, nor from fortune, but from a single, humble decision, to speak and to believe. When he said, "I am prosperous," he was not merely soothing himself, he was activating a universal law. That law does not show favoritism, does not distinguish between people. It only responds to the certainty of affirmation. And when repeated in the moments before sleep, when the mind is most receptive, that affirmation becomes a creative command. Look into your own life. How many times have you awakened to a day filled with the very stress you worried about the night before? How many times have you tossed and turned with fear, only to see it take shape in reality? That is proof that the subconscious is loyal to whatever you feed it. So why not choose to give it something good instead of your fears? The silk of your life waits for you to decide its colors. No one can do it for you. Night does not choose. The universe does not decide in your place. Michael changed only when he stopped lamenting and began whispering a new truth. So too with you. All it takes is one decision. Before sleep, choose one affirmation and repeat it with trust. Even if it feels awkward at first, continue. Like Michael, you will soon sense an unusual vibration, and with time, reality will shift like a newly woven fabric, radiant and rich with pattern. The alchemy of night does not promise distant wonders. It simply returns to you what you have woven in silence. Michael came to understand that dreams and destiny are not two separate paths, but one. When you dare to declare, "I am," the dream instantly becomes the seed of destiny. Not chance, not miracle, but the natural law of consciousness. So tonight, as you close your eyes, remember the invisible silk awaiting your hand. Let the words, "I am," flow into it, like a patient artisan weaving each thread. And when dawn arrives, you will see what you whispered in darkness has not vanished, but has become the pattern upon the silk of your life. Night has listened, night has woven, and your destiny begins to change from that very moment. In the darkness of night, there exists a language that requires no script, no grammar, and no learning. It is the language of the soul, a voice that emerges only when human consciousness releases the reasoning of the day and allows the subconscious to speak. As you sink into sleep, the mind no longer operates by logic, but shifts into a more primal form of communication through rhythm, through music, through vibration. It is in that moment that what you think, what you feel, what you whisper, becomes music for the soul, and the soul hears it clearly. The language of the day is the language of debate, of analysis, of calculation. You speak your thoughts, and reason instantly measures, rejects, or argues against them. But the language of the soul is entirely different. It requires no reasoning. It understands truth through resonance. A single affirmation spoken with full emotion reaches the subconscious more powerfully than 100 dry arguments. Think of a melody that once moved you deeply. You did not need to understand every lyric. The rhythm itself carved into you. The language of the soul is the same. When you enter sleep, every breath, every heartbeat, every pause between affirmations becomes part of an invisible conversation with the subconscious. Night does not only hear what you say, but how you say it. A hurried, "I am at peace," creates no wave. But that same phrase, spoken with steady breath, with a slow heartbeat, with the body fully relaxed, becomes a resonance echoing through the nervous system. The subconscious does not read words. It reads vibration. In many ancient cultures, people already knew how to use music, drum beats, bells, and chants to communicate with the subconscious, not because those sounds contained some mystery, but because they awakened the soul's rhythm. When hearing steady drumming, the brain adjusts itself, entering theta waves, the very gateway to the subconscious. When hearing the long resonance of a bell, the mind pauses, as if creating space for something new to enter. This is the art of using the language of vibration to converse with the soul in sleep. This explains why, when you whisper affirmations before sleeping, the pauses between them matter just as much. Those pauses are not emptiness, but the space for the subconscious to receive and harmonize. Just like music, a melody is only beautiful when it has rests at the right moments. An affirmation becomes a powerful command only when silence embraces it. I am abundant, and pause. Let the silence spread. Then continue. I am prosperous. It is these pauses that transform words into rhythm rather than mere letters. The language of vibration also reveals itself through the body's involvement in the process. When you place your hand over your chest, the heartbeat resonates with the affirmation. When you inhale and exhale with the phrase, the breath turns the words into biological rhythm, and in this state, the subconscious throws its doors wide open. It no longer distinguishes between reality and imagination. It absorbs vibration as undeniable truth. And the next day, it adjusts your actions, your emotions, your decisions in accordance with that truth. If the language of the day is like the sun, bright, glaring, illuminating every detail, then the language of the soul's vibration is like the moon, gentle, permeating, shining everywhere without direct effort. It needs no tension, no striving, only presence, steadiness, and authenticity. An affirmation spoken with full presence is 100 times stronger than a phrase uttered mechanically. Night does not care for eloquence. It only listens to the frequency you emit. Some may ask, how do I know if I am speaking the soul's language? The answer is simple. You feel it. When an affirmation makes your body relax, your heart steady, your breath flow in harmony, that is when you are speaking the right tongue. On the other hand, if the words make you tense and awkward, you are still speaking the language of the intellect. Adjust. Allow the affirmation to become rhythm, to become breath, instead of a string of letters. Then the subconscious will hear it. It is also important to remember that the language of vibration lies not only in words, but in the emotions that accompany them. An I am free spoken from a fearful heart will sound faint, but the same phrase, spoken with belief, will vibrate like a bell, resonating through every cell. The language of the soul does not accept falsehood. It only responds to the truth you truly feel. Therefore, before speaking any affirmation, allow yourself to believe it, even if only for a moment. Practicing the language of the soul before sleep is a simple yet powerful ritual. Sit or lie down comfortably, place your hand on your heart, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and begin with an affirmation. Speak it slowly, merging it with your breath. Pause, let the silence sink in. Feel your body vibrate with the phrase. Then repeat. Within minutes, you will feel your whole being blending into a larger rhythm, drifting gently into sleep. This is not just a ritual, but the deepest conversation you can have with your own soul. Imagine that each night you are entering an ancient temple where priests chant in the darkness, their voices merging with the resonance of the universe. But this time, the voice belongs to no one else but you, and that temple does not stand on some distant mountain or in a forest, it is within you. When you speak the words, I am, in silence, you are standing in that temple, speaking the tongue your soul has known for eternity. The language of the soul in sleep is not something to be learned, but something to be remembered. Every person is born with it. Each night, the soul waits for you to return, to whisper, to converse. And when you remember, when you truly speak through vibration, your words cease to be mere words. They become music, become light, become invisible threads weaving your destiny. Tonight, before drifting into sleep, try letting go of every reason, every argument, leaving only a single breath and a single affirmation. Let it merge with breath, with heartbeat, with the silence between thoughts. Then you will be speaking the language of the soul. And once the soul hears, your life will begin to move to a new rhythm, the rhythm of truth, of power, of faith. On ancient shores, where the waves whispered secrets older than history, there lived a fisherman named Daniel. Unlike others, he did not set out to sea in daylight. When the sun's rays lit every crest, he chose the night, when the sea shimmered with a soft, mystical glow, when silence spread and only the wind conversed with the stars. Others mocked him, calling him out of step, a dreamer. But Daniel knew something they did not. The night sea had its own voice, and whoever knew how to listen would receive abundance beyond imagination. One moonless night, when his boat drifted into a strange bay, Daniel encountered an old woman sitting on a rock. In her hands was a peculiar net, not made of hemp or rope, but of fine strands shining like starlight. She looked at Daniel, smiled, and said, "You use ropes to catch fish, but the night sea does not hear ropes, it hears your voice." Daniel was bewildered, not yet understanding. She gently lowered the net into the water, whispering, "I am abundance." Instantly, a school of fish appeared, their scales gleaming like diamonds under the moonlight. "You see," she continued, "the sea is like sleep. It does not respond to physical strength, but to vibration. If you cast your net with affirmations, the sea will answer." That night, Daniel no longer saw the sea as a void, but as a living being that could hear and respond. When he returned, he began to try it himself. Before casting his net, he whispered, "I am prosperity. I am abundance. I am gifted." And from that day on, every night's journey brought him nets overflowing with fish, while others returned empty-handed. This story is not merely the legend of a fisherman. It is a metaphor for how each of us lives. The subconscious is every person's night sea. By day, we cast our nets with actions, plans, and effort. By night, when sleep descends, we can cast nets with vibration and affirmation. And strangely enough, the night nets often catch more, because the subconscious then expands like the ocean, receiving without resistance, without limit. The key does not lie in repetition, but in trust. Daniel did not whisper as though testing a trick. He spoke as if it were already true, as if the sea would hear and respond. That faith turned his affirmations into vibration, and that vibration became the signal that called forth what he desired. The subconscious is the same. If you speak in doubt, it hears only doubt. But if you speak with certainty, it will vibrate and reflect the corresponding result. Imagine each affirmation you utter before sleep as a net of light. You do not need to drag it across the world. You need only to release it into the night sea of the subconscious. And then, in silence, that net spreads, reaching into the depths of the universe. When you awaken, you may not see the fish immediately, but watch for the signs, an unexpected opportunity, a door once closed suddenly ajar, a person appearing at the perfect moment. These are the catches within your net. Night is the time when humans often believe themselves powerless, for the body rests, the conscious mind releases. But in truth, that is when power works strongest. When Daniel sailed into the night, he cared nothing for light or noise. He chose silence, he chose faith, and through that he became the wealthiest in the region. You can do the same. Each night, as you close your eyes, whisper an affirmation as though casting a net into the deep sea. Then let sleep be the current, the tide that brings results back to you. No complicated words are needed. Only "I am." Choose something you truly desire, but speak it in the present tense, as if it has already come to pass. I am safe. I am happy. I am abundant. When you speak this way, you are not just creating sound, you are creating vibration, and that vibration is the net of light. The subconscious never rejects the net. It is always brimming with fish, brimming with opportunities, waiting only for someone who knows how to cast it at the right time. Most people believe only in what they see, but Daniel proved that reality begins with what the eyes cannot see, the ears cannot hear, but the soul can feel. Likewise, if you live only by what is visible, you remain within limits. But if you dare to believe that night listens, that the subconscious responds, then you can cast nets beyond imagination. Each night is an opportunity. No one enters the night sea and returns empty-handed unless they forget to cast their net. How many of us enter sleep with complaints, worries, fears, and unknowingly cast nets with those very vibrations, and the next morning we receive the equivalent: fatigue, stagnation, anxiety. But with a change, if before sleep you simply choose one positive affirmation, you change the entire net. Night does not distinguish between people. It does not favor Daniel or anyone else. It only responds to the signal you send. The night sea of the subconscious is always abundant, and your only task is to release a net bright enough, strong enough, patient enough to wait. And when dawn comes, you will see your boat filled with wonders. Tonight, try it once. Before sleep, close your eyes. Imagine yourself rowing a small boat into the still ocean. In your hands is a net of light. Cast it, whisper an "I am," as though it were a password to the universe. Do not try to picture the result. Simply trust that the night sea has heard. And as you sleep, that net will do its work quietly, surely, effectively. Your dreams are not illusions. They are the nets you cast each night. They connect you to infinite abundance. And if you persist, one day you will see your destiny overflowing like Daniel's boat, laden with treasures you never thought the daylight could bring. In the ancient city of Alexandria, where the legendary library once preserved the light of human knowledge, there lived a young scribe named Elias. Day after day, he sat among papyrus scrolls, copying texts in black ink. His work seemed nothing more than repeating the words of others, yet within him burned a silent longing to leave his own mark, to create a manuscript that would not merely record knowledge, but open a new path into the future of his own life. He knew this, but every time he held the pen, his hand trembled with fear. His reason whispered endlessly that he was nothing but a shadow among thousands of other manuscripts. One night, wandering through the vast corridors of the library, Elias encountered an old man whose eyes glowed like fire. In his hands was not a scroll nor a pen, but a strange white board, smooth and gleaming like ivory. The man said, "Everything you write by day can be burned, destroyed, or forgotten, but the night board is different. When you write upon it, the words become immutable law, carved into the subconscious, and from there they shape reality." Elias was astonished and asked, "What do I write with when the board is empty, with no ink, no pen?" The old man replied, "You write with words, with emotion, with belief. You write with I am." That night, Elias returned to his chamber, lit an oil lamp, sat in silence, and imagined before him a vast invisible board. He placed his hand on his chest, breathed deeply, and spoke, "I am wisdom. I am creativity. I am new light in the midst of darkness." Each phrase shone upon the white board like strokes of luminous ink. He repeated them again and again until sleep carried him away. And when he awoke, his mind was clear as never before. Ideas flowed, words became fluent, so unlike the days before. Day after day, night after night, Elias continued to write on the night board with affirmations. The invisible lines became the foundation of his life. A year later, his manuscript was read everywhere, sparking a new school of thought that stirred the entire city. When the Library of Alexandria was consumed by flames, everything he had written by day vanished in fire. But what he had inscribed upon the night board remained alive, carried into human memory, becoming imperishable knowledge. Elias's night board is not merely the legend of a lost library. It is a symbol of the power each of us holds. Before falling asleep, you always stand before an invisible board. It requires no paper, no ink, only the words you speak and the vibration you send forth. What you choose to write upon it is imprinted deeply into the subconscious, where no fire can burn, no forgetting can erase. And the next morning, you live in the very page you wrote the night before. The problem is that most people are unaware of this. They write nonetheless, but with complaints, with worries, with reproach. I am a failure. I am inadequate. I am unfortunate. These sentences, though unintended, are still etched onto the night board, and so they awaken into a reality reflecting exactly what they unconsciously recorded. The subconscious never refuses, it only registers. Thus, the night board is both a privilege and a responsibility. You alone decide what will be written there. If you want life to change, begin with a simple affirmation. No need for ornament, no need for length. Only clarity, in the present tense, with complete faith. I am healthy. I am happy. I am prosperous. Do not underestimate the power of those few short words. Each one is a carved line, each phrase a stroke of luminous ink. When repeated in the state close to sleep, they become inscriptions pressed deeply, never to be erased. The night board also has a rule: write only one central idea. Do not confuse the subconscious with too many commands. Each night Elias chose only one affirmation, repeating it until sleep carried him off. That very focus gave the inscriptions their power. You too must choose one affirmation tied to your deepest desire and write it clearly. The night will remember, and the day will reflect it. Picture this. Before sleep, you place your hand upon your chest, close your eyes, and imagine a vast white board opening before you. Upon it, the words "I am" glow, followed by the word you have chosen. See it clearly, hear it resound, feel it spread. Then let sleep take you, as though the night board itself were embracing you. When you wake, believe that what you wrote remains, quietly transforming the flow of your life. The story of Elias proves that writing does not only exist on paper. The most enduring ink is the spoken word joined with emotion, and the board that can never be destroyed by flames is the subconscious. By day you may lose everything, but by night, what is written endures, unchanging, and finds its way to reveal itself. Each night, you are given a choice. You may neglect the whiteboard, letting it record the chaos of the day, or you may become the scribe of your own soul, deliberately inscribing what you desire. Your reality is not random. It is a manuscript written across hundreds of nights. If you wish to change it, begin writing anew tonight. When Elias saw the flames devouring the great library, he did not despair. He knew that what truly mattered was not in paper, but already engraved upon his nightboard. And just as the old man had said, once written in the language of the soul, nothing can destroy it. So tonight, as you close your eyes, remember the invisible board awaiting you. Write upon it a clear, radiant, faithful affirmation. The nightboard will remember, the subconscious will engrave, and tomorrow your life will begin to reflect a new page. No one else needs to witness it. Only you and the night. And from that moment, you have become the scribe of your own destiny. In a quiet valley, where moonlight poured down like silver covering the earth, there lived a potter named Brian. Unlike other craftsmen, he never worked during the day. He only placed his hands on the wheel when night descended, when the world sank into silence and sleep. People called him eccentric, but in the darkness Brian heard a rhythm that no one could sense in daylight. It was the breath of the earth, the whisper of the subconscious, and the response of an unseen energy. Every lump of clay in his hands was like a fragment of reality yet unformed. By day, the clay was dry, rough, and stubborn. But in the late hours of night it became soft, smooth, and seemed to listen to his every thought. Brian discovered this secret one rainy night, when he shaped clay while whispering, "I am prosperity." The lifeless clay suddenly expanded, firmed, and became a vase so strong that no one in the village had ever crafted its equal. From that day, he understood. It was not his hands that shaped the clay, but the words, "I am," that gave form to matter. Night after night, he continued to test this. When he wished to heal a frail child, he whispered, "I am health." The clay in his hands grew cool, then became a vessel of crystal-clear water that brought comfort to whoever drank it. When a poor family asked him to fashion a container in hope of a harvest, he placed his hands on the wheel, whispering, "I am abundance." The jar he created preserved seeds longer than any other storage. People began to believe his pottery had a soul. But in truth, that soul was the echo of the affirmations Brian poured into the clay. The human subconscious is just like clay. By day, it is dried out under the sunlight of reason, rigid and difficult to alter. But when night falls, it softens, ready to be molded, ready to receive form. What you whisper before sleep are like fingers pressing into the clay, leaving lasting imprints. If in the daytime you are anxious, your subconscious becomes hardened clay, unable to take on anything more. But the moment you touch it at night, every affirmation sinks in. then hardens into form in the light of the next day. Brian's wheel spun steadily like the flow of time. Each turn was a cycle of night and day, a rhythm repeating through life. If you place no intention upon it, the clay spins endlessly, shaping nothing. But if you know how to set your hands upon it, if you whisper the right words, an entirely new form will appear. The future is the same. It turns endlessly on the wheel of time, but you decide whether it becomes an empty vessel or a work of worth. Picture your subconscious as soft clay upon a wheel. Each night before sleep, place your hands upon it with affirmations. I am peace. I am joy. I am prosperity. Do not rush. Let every word touch the clay, turning with your breath. The feeling is as though you are shaping your own life. And when sleep comes, the wheel keeps spinning, holding what you have formed, firing it in the furnace of the universe, so that by morning it becomes reality. Brian's story reminds us, reality is not a block of stone you are forced to endure. It is soft clay, waiting for your hands to mold it. The clearer your awareness of your I am, the sharper the form becomes. The more faithfully you repeat it, the more firmly the clay holds the imprint. No physical strength is needed, no complex skill, only awareness as you face the night and the courage to affirm yourself in the present tense. Many believe they cannot change because life is too harsh, as though they held a block of stone. But the truth is, no one is asked to shape stone. You need only wait for the right moment of night, when everything softens and is ready to receive. That is the moment the subconscious opens, when you hold clay, not rock, in your hands. And anyone can become the potter of their own fate. Tonight, before sleep, imagine a potter's wheel before you. On it rests a lump of clay awaiting its form. Place your hand upon your chest, breathe deeply, and speak an affirmation of your choice. Gently, firmly, as though your hand were pressing into soft clay. Repeat until your mind clearly sees the shape of your desire. Then let sleep carry you, trusting that the wheel still turns, the clay still holds the mark, and the unseen fire will transform it into reality. Tomorrow morning, you will notice small changes, an unexpected meeting, an opportunity that seems coincidental, a joy arriving unannounced. These are signs that the vessel you shaped the night before has begun to take form, and if you persist, night after night, the creations of your hands will gradually fill your life. Reality is clay. You are the craftsman, the wheel is the flow of time, and the affirmation I am is the hand that shapes it all. Brian proved that even lifeless clay can carry a soul when molded with faith and love. And you does not your life resemble clay as well? It waits for your touch, for your affirmation, for you to grant it a new shape. Remember this. Tonight, as you close your eyes, the wheel is ready. The clay is soft. Only your hands and your words are missing. Become the potter of destiny, shaping a new form for tomorrow with what you choose to impress upon your subconscious. And when morning light rises, you will see the first vessel appear, a creation born of your invisible hands, fashioned in the workshop of sleep. In the lush valleys of ancient Greece, where hot springs flowed from the earth like the lifeblood of Gaia, there stood a famous temple called Epidaurus. People did not come there only to pray to the gods, but to be healed of illnesses no physician could cure. What was strange about this temple was that its main medicine was not herbs or blades, but sleep. The sick were taken into softly lit chambers, the air filled with the fragrance of sage leaves and pine resin, and there they did only one thing: close their eyes, surrender to sleep, while whispers rose as gently as the wind. The keepers of the temple understood that the body was not only bones and flesh, but also a flow of consciousness. When we are awake, consciousness resists, doubts, argues. But when we sleep, all barriers fall away, and the words sown within become seeds of healing. Night after night, the priests walked around the beds of the patients, whispering simple affirmations: "You are life, you are wholeness, you are restoration." Each phrase did not merely echo in the ear, but sank deep into the fertile soil of the subconscious, and by morning, the body began to respond. Records tell of a merchant once paralyzed on one side, who after 7 nights of sleep in the temple, stood up and walked. A woman who had lost her voice for many years, after sleeping in the fragrance of laurel and hearing nightly affirmations, sang again in the morning. The people believed it was the miracle of the gods, but in truth, the miracle was the subconscious once it was given the right message. You may think this is only an old legend, but look at your body today. When you sleep, millions of cells do not rest but quietly regenerate. Wounds close, blood circulates, energy recharges. If natural sleep already holds within it the power of healing, imagine what happens when you plant into that sleep the right affirmations. While the body is already restoring itself, the words "I am" become the conductor, guiding the orchestra in the direction you desire. The body is like a garden. By day, the ground is hardened beneath the sunlight of doubt. By night, the dew falls and the soil softens, ready to receive seeds. If you plant when the earth is dry, the seeds easily perish. But plant at night, and they will sprout. The subconscious is that soil. Every phrase you whisper before sleep is a seed, and the next morning your body begins to reflect the growth of that seed. What matters is not the length of the sentence, but the emotion carried with it. When you place your hand on your chest and whisper, "I am healing," it is not only the words that are heard, but every cell in you hears as well. When you affirm, "I am restoration," your heart beats with it, as if reminding the blood that it is carrying medicine throughout the body. And when you say, "I am wholeness," the subconscious begins to fill the cracks with the primal memory of perfection. The temple of Epidaurus may have long crumbled, but its ritual has never vanished. You are that temple. Each night, when you lay down your body, your room becomes the sanctuary, your bed, the sacred stone slab, and your sleep the ancient medicine. You need no priest to walk around you, because you yourself can whisper to yourself, and the subconscious will listen, will record, will transform the words into reality. Some people have unknowingly used the wrong medicine. Before sleep, they repeat, "I am so tired. I am so worried. I have nothing." The subconscious records every word, like physicians writing the wrong prescription, and the next morning their bodies are more tired, their minds more anxious, their lives emptier. Not because fate mocks them, but because the prescription they wrote for themselves was wrong. If you want it to be different, change the prescription. Try tonight. Before sleep, turn off every harsh light. Let your room sink into stillness. Take a deep breath, place your hand on your heart, and whisper, "I am life. I am healing. I am restoration." Repeat until your eyelids grow heavy. You do not need to believe immediately. Only so, night will do the rest, and by morning, the seeds will begin to sprout. Your body is living proof that miracles have never disappeared. It only waits for you to remember the language of the temple of Epidaurus, the language of affirmations in sleep. Let sleep no longer be mere rest, but a healing ritual. Let each of your nights be a ceremony in which the subconscious is the physician and you the willing patient. And trust that in the silence of night, an unseen hand is rearranging every cell, every thought, every fragment of your soul, so that you awaken as someone new. The temple of Epidaurus is only an image to remind you that the medicine is already within. You need not travel anywhere, need not seek a master. Only accept that each night is a session of therapy, each affirmation a dose of medicine, and sleep itself the greatest healing chamber. From tonight on, you hold the prescription in your own hands, and once you choose to write into it words of power, your body will listen, your soul will revive, and your life will reflect that healing. On the high peaks of ancient Tibet, there were observatories built not only to gaze at the heavens, but to listen to the connection between humanity and the cosmos. The sages believed that when night fell, in the silence of mountain winds and starlight, a mysterious arrangement took place. The stars did not merely shine in the sky, but also mirrored the inner state of human consciousness. A young observer, Timothy, devoted his life in one such observatory. He did not merely measure the angles of stars or record the movements of planets, but sat for hours in meditation, listening to the vibration between his heartbeat and the endless turning of the universe. On some nights, when dark clouds covered the sky and not a single star shone through, Timothy thought his studies had become meaningless. But it was precisely in those moments that he realized something deeper. The real sky was not out there, but within the human subconscious. The subconscious is the greatest observatory of all. Each time you sleep, You enter a space where consciousness withdraws, leaving room for the universe to operate. Just as planets move into orderly positions, your subconscious quietly adjusts, realigning what is chaotic in the soul. And if you know how to send the right affirmations, they become guiding stars, drawing toward you the experiences that match. At night, when the busy mind has sunk into stillness, the affirmations "I am" are like astronomical coordinates engraved into the sky. A clear, repeated statement is the brightest light in the sky of consciousness. The inner stars rearrange their orbits, shifting the seemingly random fragments of life until they converge into a constellation that reflects your desire. Timothy witnessed this truth. Once, while meditating in a stormy night with no stars in sight, a radiant figure appeared in his mind. A teacher robed in starlight said, "You seek alignment in the sky, but true alignment begins within. When your subconscious resonates with belief, the entire universe turns to reflect it." From then on, Timothy no longer strained his eyes toward distant skies, but turned inward to listen to the orbits within himself. Tonight, you too can try this. When you close your eyes, imagine that within your mind an invisible observatory opens. In that dome, thousands of stars appear, each one a thought, a memory, a desire. By day, they scatter in chaos, like a sky without pattern. But when you whisper an affirmation of "I am," those stars begin to move, connect, and arrange themselves into a new constellation. And that constellation is the image of the future you are calling forth. Every great change begins with inner alignment. Just as planets revolve around the sun, every experience in your life revolves around core beliefs. If your center is worry, then all that comes will be chaos. If your center is trust in prosperity, the universe will draw opportunities that reflect that abundance. The subconscious is the inner sun, and your affirmation is the gravity that makes the stars your life experiences turn in harmony. When you affirm, "I am peace," you place a shining star at the center, and the chaotic events around it gradually find their new positions. When you say, "I am prosperity," you mark a coordinate, causing financial opportunities to shift closer. The issue is not whether you are worthy, but whether you have the patience to wait until the stars align. At night, as you prepare to sleep, see yourself as an astronomer of the subconscious. Choose one single star to observe a clear, powerful affirmation. Repeat it as though you are redrawing the map of the sky. Do not let your mind scatter into 100 constellations at once. The heavens are radiant only when there is a guiding star, and your subconscious only truly aligns when there is one clear belief. Remember, the universe is never in haste. A planet may take centuries to complete its orbit, yet whenever perfect alignment occurs, wonders follow. Your life is the same. Each affirmation repeated night after night is the slow but steady movement of the stars within. And when the right moment comes, you will see your entire inner sky blaze into a constellation that mirrors your dream. The alignment of stars is not just a romantic image, it is law. Just as all things obey gravity, your subconscious obeys the direction of "I am." If you plant truth within it, the disordered orbits will settle. If you plant fear, darkness will spread. That is why tonight, choose carefully the star you wish to place in your consciousness. You need no telescope, no mountain peak, no clear skies. All you need is to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and whisper one simple phrase. Let it become the new gravitational force within you. Then sleep, allowing the subconscious to do the rest, to turn, to arrange, to align. And when dawn arrives, you will see signs of change like the light of a star rising on the horizon. The universe never misses its rhythm. All you need is trust, and everything will align in time. Tonight, you are the astronomer of your subconscious, drawing a new map for your life. And in that sky, the star you choose will guide the way for all. In an ancient village, there was an oven that always glowed red in the hours before dawn. People said that the bread rising there was not only delicious, but also brought strength and joy to those who ate it. The keeper of the oven was named Stephanie, and unlike other bakers, she did not work by day. She rose in the middle of the night, while the village was still silent, to knead the dough and breathe spirit into each loaf. By the time the first light appeared, the loaves were round, golden, and ready to nourish a new day. The secret was this: bread dough needed time in the darkness to rise. No one could force it to swell instantly. It needed stillness, quiet warmth, and undisturbed space. In the same way, every affirmation you sow into your subconscious each night is like freshly kneaded dough. By day you may see nothing, even doubt. But in the night, beneath the surface of the unconscious, it is rising, expanding, so that when dawn comes, reality swells full and round, reflecting exactly what you planted. Stephanie had a habit few understood. Before placing the dough in the oven, she whispered, "I am fullness, I am abundance, I am overflowing life." For her, words were the yeast. Yeast is unseen, yet it decides whether the bread will rise. Likewise, affirmations at night may be invisible, but they are the yeast of the soul, determining whether tomorrow rises in prosperity or flattens in lack. This reveals a fundamental law. Every rising begins in darkness. No seed ever sprouts on dry ground under the Sunday. It needs the dark of soil. No child is born without first passing through quiet months in the womb. And no dream becomes reality unless it is nurtured in the hours of night, where the subconscious works in silence. Dawn is only the moment of unveiling. The true awakening has already happened before, in stillness. Look at your own life. The changes you clearly see today began with what you thought, believed, and affirmed many nights ago. Just as this morning's loaf was prepared at midnight yesterday, if you want tomorrow to be different, you cannot wait until daylight to begin. You must sow the dough tonight, place it into the oven of the subconscious, so it can rise in the dark. Many complain that they repeat affirmations but see no change, yet they forget that no one watches dough rise minute by minute in the night. The process is invisible, silent, patient. All that is needed is faith and steady fire. Once dawn arrives, the loaf will bear the shape of what you believed. The subconscious never breaks its promise. It works by nature's rhythm, no faster, no slower, but exactly on time. So before sleep, see yourself as a baker preparing for tomorrow. Choose one simple, clear affirmation. Knead it with emotion, as though mixing yeast into dough. Place it into the oven of the subconscious by repeating it until the mind softens. And then, let the night do the rest. You need not watch, need not control. The night knows how to work. The bread will rise. Reality will change. Dawn will prove it. Try with a specific affirmation. If you want health, whisper, "I am restoration." If you desire prosperity, say, "I am abundance." If you long for peace, breathe deeply and affirm, "I am stillness." Repeat it, as though each phrase were a kneading, a folding, a layer of yeast seeping into the dough. Then trust that the subconscious will ferment it in the dark. Stephanie used to say, "The bread does not need our eyes upon it. It needs our faith that the yeast is working." Your life is the same. Do not sit watching for change, worrying about when it will arrive. Simply trust. Let the subconscious leaven. Dawn will bring the fragrance of a new reality. The greatest danger is not that you lack ability, but that you refuse to begin. Dough left unneeded can never rise. The subconscious without a seed receives nothing to awaken. And so tonight, you have two choices: to leave the oven empty, or to place within it a batch of faith. A single different night can open an entirely different life. The first law of awakening is simple: sow in the night, reap at dawn. No one is exempt from this law, and no one is excluded from it. Whoever you are, you can whisper before sleep. You can sow a fresh batch into the subconscious, and if you are patient, the bread of your life will rise, golden and fragrant, ready to nourish a brighter future. When morning light spills across the rooftops, remember, the awakening you see is only the result of a long, silent night. Do not underestimate the moments before sleep. That is when you are standing in your own oven. You can leave with empty hands, or you can carry a warm new loaf full of flavor. The choice is yours at the very moment darkness surrounds you. And from there, dawn will only reflect what you have prepared. In a quiet garden on the edge of an ancient city, there was a gardener whose name few ever knew. He did not plant by day like other farmers. He only went into the garden when the moon rose, when dew gathered in drops on the leaves, and when the whole world sank into sleep. People called him the secret gardener, for only the night ever witnessed his work. Yet strangely, that garden was always lush, flowers blooming brightly, fruits ripening year-round, while other plots often withered with the seasons. The secret lay in how he sowed his seeds. At night, he gently dug small holes, placed the seeds within, and whispered into the soil short phrases: "You are life. You are sprouting. You are abundance." For him, planting was not merely a physical act, but a ritual of the soul. The earth listened, the seeds heard, and the universe responded. He knew well that a seed required only two things to burst forth: darkness and faith. The story of the secret gardener is a mirror image of the human subconscious. Each night, before you sleep, you too hold seeds in your hand, your thoughts and affirmations. You may choose to sow seeds of fear, doubt, and worry, and in the morning they will grow into thorns that block your path. But you may also choose to sow seeds of faith, of peace, of prosperity. Then, in the silence of sleep, those seeds will quietly germinate, so that one day you awaken in an entirely different garden. Notice that seeds do not need light at first. They need darkness. The darkness of the soil, the darkness of night, the darkness of the subconscious. In that darkness, they absorb nourishment, break through their shells, and prepare to rise. Your subconscious is the same. It needs the quiet before sleep to receive the seeds of affirmation. When you say, "I am peace," even if chaos surrounds you, the subconscious has already begun to hold that seed. It nurtures it in silence until one day you are surprised to find peace flooding you amid the storms of life. The secret gardener was never impatient. He did not wake the next morning and cry, "Why has the plant not grown?" He understood the law. Everything requires time. Life moves by its own rhythm. A seed sown tonight may need many days, many weeks before it emerges. But once it sprouts, nothing can stop it. In the same way, the affirmations you plant into the subconscious may not appear at once, but they are already breaking the old shell, making way for irreversible change. The truth is that whatever seeds are sown will grow. The soil does not distinguish good from bad. It only knows to nurture. Your subconscious is the same. If you plant negative affirmations, they too will grow into negative results. If you plant positive ones, they will ripen into sweet fruit. You cannot blame fate if it was your own hand that planted the seeds of worry and failure, but you can completely transform the garden of your life simply by changing the seeds you plant each night. Before sleep, imagine stepping into an invisible garden. In your hand is a pouch of seeds. Each seed is an I am. Choose carefully, for you cannot plant them all at once. Dig a small hole in the soil of the subconscious and whisper, "I am abundance." Place the seed down, cover it with earth, and smile in trust. You need do nothing more. The night will do the rest. And when the sun rises, the first signs of life will begin to appear. The secret gardener taught that faith is the water, repetition is the moonlight, and emotion is the fertilizer. If you sow seeds with dryness, they will wither. If you plant them in doubt, the soil will hesitate. But if you sow with trust and genuine feeling, the earth will embrace the seed like its own child, nurturing it with infinite patience. Each night is a new chance to plant. You do not need a perfect past. You do not need flawless ground. You only need a moment before sleep to drop a seed into the soil of the subconscious. Do not waste that chance with complaints. Do not let your garden grow wild with weeds. Choose to sow what you truly want to see when dawn comes. And remember, your garden is not only for yourself. The trees that grow will give shade to others. The flowers will share their fragrance with the village. The fruits will nourish those around you. Your subconscious, when sown with the right seeds, will not only transform your life but will radiate as inspiration and strength for others. The secret gardener eventually left this world, but the garden he planted continued to bloom. People said that whenever the moon rose, they could still see the figure of a man bending down, his hands pressing seeds into the earth, his lips softly whispering. But in truth, it was no longer him. It was anyone who remembered the ancient law: sow in the night, reap in the day. And you, from this very moment, can also become the secret gardener of your own life. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the pouch of seeds in your hand. Choose one single seed, a clear affirmation, and plant it in the soil of your subconscious. Then let the night cradle it, let the dew water it. Let dawn prove that the seed has never been silent. One day, when you harvest its fruit, you will remember it all began with a quiet moment before sleep, when you chose the right seed to sow. Deep within an ancient mountain lay a mysterious cavern. People called it the Crystal Cave, for its walls and ceilings were covered in clear crystals, glittering like thousands of stars imprisoned in stone. But what made this place legendary was not only its beauty, but its sound. At the faintest whisper, the entire cave would resound, weaving a long, delicate and profound symphony, as though the universe itself were answering back. A young man named Adrian once came to this cave. He carried within him confusion and uncertainty. By day he lived amidst noise, where every word seemed drowned out in argument and chaos. But in the crystal cave, when he uttered a single, "I am," the sound shattered into thousands of rhythms, echoing from every side, reverberating until his heart trembled. He realized then that he was not alone. His small voice, when released in the right space, could become a majestic symphony. The human subconscious is precisely such a crystal cave. By day, your words may seem small, fragile, buried beneath doubt, but when spoken in the night, as the mind grows quiet, the subconscious hears, holds, and amplifies them. An affirmation of "I am" never stops at your lips. It is sent into the invisible walls of the subconscious, echoes back, and becomes the melody that shapes the rhythm of your life. Imagine that each time you say, "I am peace," that sound strikes the crystal walls of your subconscious, rebounding as thousands of voices of peace, echoing long and deep. Each time you affirm, "I am prosperity," the inner cavern bursts with light, each shard of crystal reflecting that phrase into radiance, flooding your whole being. You do not need to shout. A single truthful whisper is enough to create a symphony. In legend, there were those who sat for days in the cave, not to beg, but to listen. They discovered that the echoes did not come only from their voices, but from the resonance of their whole being. When heart, breath, and emotion became one with the affirmation, the inner symphony was complete. At that moment, people no longer heard with their ears, but with their souls. The subconscious operates in the same way. It does not respond to scattered words, but to the harmony of your whole being. If you say, "I am freedom," yet your heart is heavy and your breath is restless, the sound will echo back faintly. But if you speak in stillness, with an open heart and steady breath, the affirmation becomes a perfect melody, echoing back with unstoppable power. This explains why, before sleep, you must bring yourself into calm. Do not let the day's noise distort the sound you are about to release. Dim the lights, breathe slowly, place your hand on your heart, and let body and soul fall into rhythm. Then every affirmation you utter becomes a note, resounding in the crystal cave of the subconscious, joining into a symphony. And that symphony becomes the song that shapes the reality of tomorrow. Imagine one night you say, "I am light." In silence, the phrase rises in the crystal cave. You hear it not once, but hundreds of times, from every direction: above, below, left, right. The entire cavern turns into an ocean of luminous sound, wrapping around you. The next morning, as you step into the world, you will find light everywhere, in a stranger's smile, in an unexpected opportunity, in the clarity of your mind. The sound within the crystal cave also teaches an important lesson. Every word you utter has an echo. It never disappears. It only resounds, expands, and returns. If you sow negative words, their echoes will encircle you, more often than you imagine. But if you sow the right affirmations, their echoes will become an orchestra, lifting you with every step. You are the conductor, and the subconscious is the orchestra, ready to play whichever piece you choose. Look at your life today. It is not a random composition. It is the sum of thousands of phrases, thousands of affirmations, thousands of echoes you have planted into your subconscious. If the music you hear now is harsh, chaotic, change the notes. Begin with a new affirmation. Repeat it until the symphony in the crystal cave shifts its rhythm. Then you will see your whole life change key. Tonight, before sleep, close your eyes and step into the invisible crystal cave within yourself. Choose one, I am, that is clear and bright. Whisper it and listen to the echo. Feel the symphony forming from the resonance of your heart, your breath, and your words. Then let that sound linger into your sleep like an unending song. And when you awaken, that music will still be playing, guiding you through the new day. The harmony of the subconscious is no myth. It is the law of nature. Every word resounds, every sound has an echo, and you, with a single affirmation, can compose the symphony that defines your entire life. The crystal cave is not out there. It lies within you, waiting for the right voice to be spoken, so that from it everything around you begins to resound in harmony. In the history of humanity, there is a language that transcends differences of culture, faith, and borders. That language is not script nor music, but mathematics. The ancients called it the language of the universe, for it is present in the heartbeat of planets, in the whirl of galaxies, in the unfurling of a rose, and even in human DNA. And within that language, there is a sacred mark that appears as the signature of perfection, the golden ratio, also known as phi, approximately 1.618. The golden ratio is not merely a tool of architecture or art, but a key to understanding that all life moves according to an invisible, synchronized, balanced structure. Look at a seashell. Its spiral expands precisely according to the golden ratio. Look at a branch. Each leaf grows at intervals arranged by the same law. Even the human body is no exception. The distances between bones, between eyes and mouth, between hand and forearm, all conceal this ratio. It is as if the universe used a single formula to design everything. This reveals a secret. Reality is not random, it is calculated. And not a finite calculation, but an infinite one. The universe is like a sacred mathematician, using immutable numbers and formulas to weave every form. When you walk under rows of trees, when you look into the eyes of the one you love, you are witnessing mathematics in living shape. Your subconscious follows this same law. The affirmations you sow into it do not fly away into chaos. They are arranged according to precise ratios to give form to reality. When you say, I am prosperity, that statement does not slip away. It becomes a point in an invisible spiral, and according to the golden ratio, it repeats, expands, multiplies until your reality reflects that fullness. Picture a golden spiral. Beginning from a small point, it expands outward, each revolution larger than the last by a factor of 1.618. That is how the subconscious operates. A small thought, if nourished by faith, will not remain still. It will repeat, expand, and grow until it encompasses your entire life. If that thought is fear, the spiral will swell into a suffocating reality. But if that thought is prosperity, the spiral will open into an abundant life. The ancient Greeks called the golden ratio the measure of beauty, because anything that follows it appears harmonious to the eye. But more deeply, it is the measure of truth. For the subconscious loves order, loves balance, loves what is in harmony. When you sow a clear affirmation, the subconscious rearranges the fragments within to bring them back into equilibrium, just as a flower opens by the golden ratio. When you enter sleep, the subconscious becomes a silent calculator. It takes the data you have just sown, beliefs, affirmations, images, and then arranges and expands them according to the law. You may not see this process, just as you do not see a seed sprout within the soil, but trust that everything is operating with absolute precision. The universe never miscalculates, and the subconscious, when given the right formula, will yield a result that cannot be otherwise. Sacred mathematics teaches something else. Infinity is not frightening, it is assurance. A golden spiral can expand forever, never stopping, yet it always keeps the same ratio. This means that if you begin with a correct affirmation, your entire future will open according to the same law, never deviating from that wholeness. Each new turn is merely the expansion of the previous one, larger, more encompassing, yet always balanced. This explains why you need not force change to arrive instantly. You only need to sow the right seed, a clear I am, and allow the subconscious to do the expanding. The spiral will multiply on its own, swelling and spreading by itself. All you need is patience and trust. Just as mathematics never betrays, the subconscious never violates the formula you have given it. Remember, each night before sleep, you stand before an infinite ledger. You can choose to enter a number of fear, and the subconscious will multiply it without end. Or you can choose to enter a number of faith, of peace, of prosperity, and it too will multiply without end. The law is the same. The difference lies only in which seed number you choose to begin with. If you want change, start with simplicity. Do not think of complex formulas. Use a single affirmation, I am light. Tonight, let that statement drop into the subconscious as a first number, then trust that, by the golden ratio, it will expand and multiply, stretching across your days and years until your whole life unfurls into a blueprint full of light. Sacred mathematics is not only in books, but in every breath, every step, every dream. The golden ratio is not confined to the pyramids of Egypt or the statues of Greek gods, but is in your very eyes, in your very heart, in your very subconscious. The universe has engraved that formula into every creation so that you will never lose your way. Tonight, as you close your eyes, remember that you are not a random being. You are a living mathematical work, fashioned by a sacred formula, and every affirmation you sow into the subconscious is a new number on the infinite ledger. Choose well, sow skillfully, and you will see your life open not into chaos, but into a perfect, balanced, and endless design. In humanity's memory, dreams have always been a mysterious realm. Some believe they are nothing more than chaotic fragments of the mind, while others are convinced they are doors to another world. But somewhere between reality and the unseen, there are those called dreamland explorers, people who not only dream but learn to move through dreams as though walking through a city, leaving footprints on paths only the soul can see. They do not sleep to forget, but to unfold a new map of the subconscious. A legend tells of Arvel, an ancient sage who devoted his life to recording his dream journeys. On yellowed sheepskin parchments, he did not draw rivers, mountains, or fortresses, but doors, bridges of light, spiral corridors leading deep into shadow. It was the map of sleep, not for finding roads on the earth, but for navigating in the realm of dreams. And the wonder was that whenever he found treasure in a dream, a symbol, a whisper, a light the next morning, he also found the solution in waking life. Dreams are not merely random images. They are the language the subconscious uses to converse with you. But most people ignore them, dismissing them as meaningless, thereby losing an essential key. The dreamland explorer is different. They see every dream as a stretch of road, every symbol as a signpost, every feeling as a direction, and gradually they learn to walk through them, expanding the map within. You too have such a map. Each time you sleep, you enter the dream realm, only you have not yet realized it is a territory waiting to be explored. If you pay attention, you will notice recurring paths, figures who appear again and again, places that never disappear. This is proof that dreams have structure, order, their own landscape, and you, whether conscious or unconscious, are walking those paths. The subconscious does not speak in words, it speaks in images. A closed door may represent a missed opportunity. A raging river may be a fear blocking your way. A glowing mountain may be an aspiration waiting to be conquered. If you dare to listen, dreams will show you what you have not seen while awake. They are mirrors of belief, maps pointing the way through life. More wondrous still is that you can influence them in return. Before sleep, if you plant a clear affirmation, the dream will respond with symbols. If you whisper, I am prosperity, you may dream of golden fields of grain, a shining treasure hoard, or simply a river flowing full of water. If you say, I am peace, the dream may appear as a tranquil garden, a house bathed in light, or a sky without clouds. These symbols are the subconscious answering, confirming that the seed has been planted. Dreamland explorers do not just observe, they remember. Each morning, Arvel would rise and write down every detail of his dreams. He believed that if not recorded, the road would vanish, the map would blur. And indeed, by comparing his notes, He discovered that dreams connected, complementing one another, as though the subconscious were gradually painting a larger picture. From this, he learned to read the dream map, to find direction in real life. You too can do the same. Tonight, try to see sleep as an expedition. Before bed, choose an affirmation and whisper it. When dreams come, pay attention to the symbols that appear. In the morning, write them down, without judgment, without rushing to interpret. Over time, you will notice repeating clues, and the map will become clearer. And within that map, you will find answers to the confusions of your waking day. Remember, dreams are not illusions. They are the soul's deepest instinct, the subconscious language, a compass for those who dare to listen. If you know how to observe, you will realize you never wander lost. The roads in dreams will gradually guide you to where you truly need to go. The map of sleep is proof that the subconscious is always at work, even as you rest. It never stops drawing, never stops sending signals, never stops building bridges between dream and waking. And you, with awareness, can become a dreamland explorer, able to read that map and continue the journey of your life. Tonight, as you close your eyes, tell yourself, you are not merely sleeping. You are entering a land, holding in your hands an invisible map. Let your heart be the compass, let your chosen affirmation be the guide, and trust that the dream will lead you to the treasure you seek. Tomorrow morning, when you awaken, you will carry with you a fragment of the map, and piece by piece, those fragments will form the entire path. You are not lost in dreams. You are a dreamland explorer, and the subconscious is the land waiting for you to discover. Among the senses humans possess, the sense of smell is the oldest, most primal, and also the most mysterious. Before people could write, before words were formed, our ancestors relied on scent to distinguish between life and death, safety or danger, joy or fear. Scent goes straight into the subconscious, bypassing the layers of control of reason, opening the door to the deepest regions of the soul. And because of this, it becomes the invisible key that carries nightly affirmations deeper into the place where dreams are born. There is a tale of a fragrance alchemist named Lyra who lived in an ancient city where stone-paved streets still carried the resin of pine and the scent of cinnamon burning in temples. Lyra did not craft fragrance to sell, nor for beauty, but to open the inner doorway of human beings. Her chamber was filled with clay jars holding rare essences, sandalwood from the east, roses from distant valleys, myrrh from the desert. Each night, when the city slept, she lit a bowl of glowing embers, dropped a few drops of essence into the fire, and whispered affirmations. For her, fragrance was the vessel that carried intention into the deepest realms. A weary merchant once sought her out, a man who had lost all hope through illness and failure. Lyra gave him no medicine, nor any advice. She simply placed before him a vial of jasmine oil, instructing him that before sleep he should anoint his temples, breathe deeply and say, "I am renewal." At first he hesitated, feeling it was too simple a remedy for a life so desperate. But that night, for the first time in years, he dreamed of a garden filled with light, flowers rising from barren soil, and himself walking with new vitality. From that night on, he repeated the practice, and strangely enough, before long, his illness diminished, his business revived, and his eyes shone with the brilliance of one reborn. This was not some illusory miracle, but a truth. Scent is the bridge between consciousness and the subconscious. It evokes memory, stirs emotion, awakens the parts of the brain words cannot reach. When combined with affirmations, it engraves belief into the most fertile soil of the mind, where every seed can sprout. You have surely experienced an ordinary moment like this, stepping into a room, catching a familiar scent, and instantly, memories from years ago flood back as if it were yesterday. The smell of warm bread takes you back to the kitchen of childhood. The scent of milk flowers returns you to your youth. The fragrance of someone makes your heart tremble like the first meeting. That is the power of smell. It not only recalls, but awakens deep emotion. And when emotion is awakened, the subconscious immediately opens. The fragrance alchemist knew this well. They saw each scent as a key, each essential oil as a door. Sandalwood calms the mind, opening the realm of stillness. Rose leads the heart to love and gratitude, White jasmine raises vibration to the highest level of purity. Each fragrance is not merely a smell, but a vibration, a frequency touching the soul. When combined with I am, the sacred affirmations, they become the bridge that carries your message straight into the creative center of the subconscious. Imagine tonight, before bed, you light a stick of incense. In that warm, deep aroma, you gently place your hand on your chest and say, I am peace. The breath carries the fragrance deep into your lungs, then spreads through your body. Every cell seems to hear the message, every nerve seems to agree. And when sleep arrives, that message has been inscribed into the deepest place, where tomorrow will be born. You can choose a fragrance for each desire. For healing, let white jasmine accompany you. For opening wisdom, use sandalwood. For evoking love and gratitude, let roses bloom in the space. What matters is not the type of fragrance, but how you pair it with clear intention. The scent is the vehicle, but it is your belief and focus that are the guiding energy. Do not forget that every affirmation is a seed. If you plant only with words, sometimes they may not sink deep enough to take root. But if you plant them with fragrance, they are watered with emotion and memory, and thus root more firmly. And once rooted, nothing can stop them from sprouting into reality. Look at ancient rituals. In temples, in monasteries, in every culture, incense smoke is always present. It is not merely decoration, but a way to open the door of the subconscious, creating a sacred space for prayers, affirmations, or intentions to go deep into the unseen. The ancients understood that fragrance is a voiceless language, a bridge from the human heart to the ear of the universe. Tonight, you too can become the fragrance alchemist of your own life. No complicated ritual is needed. Simply choose a scent, breathe it deeply, relax your mind, and whisper your chosen affirmation. Let the fragrance open the door, let the intention go deep, and let dreams become the fertile ground. When you awaken, you may not clearly remember the dream, but you will sense a subtle shift, a lightness, a spark in thought, an unexpected opportunity appearing during the day. That is the result of having sent your message to the right place, at the right time. Scent opens the subconscious not by reason, but by memory, by emotion, by the primal vibration that touches the soul directly. When you know how to use it, you are not merely sleeping, you are practicing alchemy, transforming dreams into destiny. Amid the vast expanse of mountains veiled in white clouds, delicate ropes are stretched as though linking two worlds. The ancients believed that walking on such a thread was not only an art of the body, but also an art of the mind. Every wavering step reflected the state within. If the heart trembled, the body lost balance. If the mind stood firm, even the thinnest thread became a safe path. But there is a deeper secret. Absolute balance is not only trained in the day, but is forged within the dreams of the night. There is a tale of a circus artist named Kyle, famed in remote mountain regions. He could walk across a rope stretched between two peaks without a tremor, though the wind roared and the abyss yawned below. When asked for his secret, Kyle only smiled and said, "I train in dreams." Listeners thought it was a metaphor, but for Kyle, dreams were truly the greatest school. Each night before sleep, Kyle imagined himself standing on the rope, wind striking his face, the sound of mountains echoing in his ears. He pictured every muscle, every breath, every heartbeat, and whispered, "I am balance, I am steadiness." And in his dream, he walked. At first, the dream also made him fall, flounder, but in that falling, he learned what the day could never teach, how the mind could master fear. Gradually, in dreams, he walked the entire length of the rope without error, and when he awoke, his body carried the same confidence, as though it had truly undergone thousands of hours of practice. The subconscious does not sharply divide dream from reality. What you experience in dreams, it records as actual experience. That is why great athletes use visualization to train, and why the art of training in dreams becomes the secret of those who reach the highest peaks. In the day, you repeat motions with the body's limits, but at night, you can do them in a limitless state. No fear, no fatigue, no failure, only the purity of will. Imagine that you too are walking a fragile thread in life. It may be a decision, a relationship, a dream you fear to pursue. In the day, you tremble before the uncertainty. But at night, you can walk that very thread safely in a space where all limits vanish. If you repeat this, the subconscious engraves the belief that you have already done it. And when you wake, every cell cooperates, every nerve remembers, every step in life becomes firmer. This is not fantasy. Science has proven that the brain does not clearly distinguish between imagining and doing. The neural regions that control movement activate almost identically when you visualize and when you act. This means that every step in a dream, if experienced vividly, leaves a true imprint in the brain. You are training, even with eyes closed. Try a simple ritual. Before sleep, choose something you wish to train. Perhaps the ability to speak before a crowd, calmness in adversity, or even a specific skill. Close your eyes and imagine in detail the setting, the sounds, the feelings. Then whisper, "I am confidence, I am balance, I am mastery." When dreams arrive, let them place you into that scene, and in the dream, you will practice without fear. Continue long enough, and you will find yourself transformed even when awake. Kael once said, "By day I perform for the audience, by night I train for the soul." He saw dreams as his private stage, where every failure was harmless, every experiment had value, every success left its mark in the mind. And because of this, he walked the real rope in life with rare serenity. You can do the same. Though you may not cross ropes on high peaks, you still have fragile threads in your life. Instead of letting fear make you fall, let dreams be the place where you train. Let the subconscious be your ally. Let balance become instinct. Walking the fragile thread is the art of living. It teaches you that nothing is certain except the steadiness within. It reminds you that the safest space for training is in dreams, and it proves that the subconscious, if harnessed, can turn the impossible into the possible. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine that thread. Feel the first step, hear the heartbeat, breathe deeply. Tell yourself, "I am balance, I am steadiness, I am mastery." Then walk. In dreams, you will cross the path. Tomorrow, when you awaken, you will carry the strength to walk the paths of life. You are not merely dreaming, you are training. You are turning dreams into the grandest practice ground of the soul, and every step within them will shape your steadiness in reality. Deep within the earth, diamonds are born in unbearable pressure and absolute darkness. But to become the most radiant gem in the world, they need another journey: refinement. Without cuts, they are merely rough stones. With precise slices, light is released, shimmering in countless hues. Human beings are the same. Your consciousness is an uncut diamond. In the darkness of night, through whispered affirmations, you are laying each blade upon that raw stone, gradually revealing the hidden brilliance within. There is a tale of a gem craftsman named Edrin in ancient Kashmir. Unlike other artisans, he did not cut stones by day. Instead, he worked at night, guided only by the light of a small oil lamp. For him, darkness was not an obstacle, but the perfect environment to see the true path of light within the stone. "Only in the dark can I know which cut directs the light rightly," he often said. And strangely, the diamonds Edrin polished always glowed with a far more wondrous brilliance. One night, a young man came to him, carrying the rough stone left by his father. The young man asked, "How can I turn this into the most radiant diamond?" Edrin smiled, handed him a file and said, "Not my hands, but your consciousness will create the gem." He instructed him before touching the stone to close his eyes and whisper, "I am light, I am clarity, I am brilliance." Only then should he begin cutting. The young man followed, and through many nights, while polishing and affirming, the stone gradually transformed into a dazzling diamond. But more importantly, his own mind became as clear and strong as the gem before him. The cuts of the diamond symbolize the affirmations you sow into the subconscious. At first, they may feel painful, resistant, for every slice is a letting go of old habits, a carving away of limiting shells. Yet from these very cuts, light finds its path out. Without cuts, there is no sparkle. Without affirmations in the night, there is no radiance in the day. Imagine your consciousness as a gemstone waiting to be polished. Each night, as you close your eyes, You hold in your hand the invisible blade of I am. When you whisper, I am confident, you slice away a layer of fear. When you affirm, I am peace, you carve off the roughness of worry. When you declare, I am prosperity, you polish the dull surface of lack. Through each night, each word, you create perfect cuts so that the inner light shines outward with a beauty even you may not expect. Edrin once taught, a stone shines only to the degree of the precision of its cuts. A mind shines only to the clarity of its affirmations. This is not merely the craft of gem cutting, but the craft of consciousness. For if during the day your mind is chaotic, the light becomes trapped. But if at night you refine it with the right affirmations, you are preparing for tomorrow's brilliance. Remember, darkness is not an enemy. Darkness is where the diamond was born, and also where your mind is polished. In sleep, when all outside noise disappears, you can hear more clearly the blade cutting into your own stone. You can choose for consciousness to be cut by worry or to be cut by faith, and the outcome you awaken to tomorrow depends entirely on what you whisper tonight. This evening, before you sleep, make yourself the craftsman. Place before your mind the diamond of consciousness, and with each I am, carve a new facet. Imagine inscribing it with intricate lines. I am strong, I am clear, I am love, I am abundant, I am free. Each cut is a window through which inner light escapes, and when that light meets the day, the whole world will see you shine like a true diamond. Some fear the cuts, fear change, fear losing the familiar, but no one treasures an unshaped stone as a jewel. Value emerges only when you dare to polish, dare to cut. Likewise, potential only reveals itself when you dare to affirm, dare to replace limitation with truth. Darkness is not an ending, but the place where refinement begins. The cuts of consciousness are your choice. You may let them be etched by negative thoughts, or you may let affirmations lift them into a masterpiece. Tonight, let every word you whisper become a perfect cut, so that when tomorrow's light arrives, you radiate with brilliance that nothing can conceal. You are the diamond in the dark, and your consciousness is the hand that holds the blade. Polish, affirm, and let the sacred cuts release the true light within. And then, the world will not only see you transformed, but will also see you become a source of light, reflecting the original beauty of the soul. Amid the night sea, when tempests rise and the sky is swallowed by black clouds, the ancient sailor had only one faith, the North Star. No matter how fierce the storm, no matter how obscure the directions, they knew that tiny light would never change. It was the only fixed point to guide their vessel through chaos. In the inner life, you too have a North Star. It does not lie in the high heavens, but within you the star of unmoving consciousness, the light of certainty in the storm of doubt. Doubt is the familiar storm that everyone has faced. When you want to begin a dream, doubt asks, are you capable enough? When you wish to step beyond your comfort zone, doubt whispers, what if you fail? When you long to believe in yourself, doubt resurrects old memories of failure to block your path. It is like waves endlessly crashing against the hull, making you forget that the ship still has a rudder and the sky still holds its light. Seafarers once had a secret. In storms, do not look at the waves, look for the light above. Waves may obscure your sight, but the star remains. In the same way, when doubt surges, do not let your mind fixate on what is chaotic. Turn inward, where your inner North Star always stands still. It is the deep faith that you are guided, that your I am consciousness is the light that never extinguishes. There is a tale of a captain named Orion, known as the man who passed through all storms. No matter how wild the sea, his ship always reached shore safely. Orion's secret did not lie in his skill of maneuvering, but in the stillness of his mind. He had the habit, before every voyage, of standing silently for a few minutes gazing at the sky, placing his hand on his chest and whispering, I am certainty, I am direction. When storms rose, while his sailors panicked, Orion focused only on that affirmation. He steered his ship not with his eyes, but with an unshakable certainty within. And strangely, the decisions he made in storms were always accurate, as if guided by an invisible compass. In sleep, You too are steering your ship across the sea of the subconscious, and doubt is often the first storm you encounter. If you are unprepared, it will drown you in the chaos of anxiety. But if before sleep you know how to anchor yourself to the inner North Star, you will hold your course. When you whisper, "I am certainty, I am direction, I am safe," you are erecting a column of light piercing the darkness. In dreams, that light will shine upon the path you must take, and the next morning, the decisions you make will carry the power of that certainty. The important thing to remember is this: doubt never disappears entirely. Like the sea, it will always have waves. But you do not need the waves to cease in order to move forward. You only need a light strong enough not to lose direction. When you practice each night, doubt gradually becomes the backdrop, and inner certainty becomes the center. You will realize that storms are temporary, but the star within you is eternal. Try a simple ritual tonight. Before sleep, imagine yourself standing on the deck of a ship. Around you, the sea is pitch black. Winds are fierce. Waves rise high. But instead of looking into the chaos, you lift your gaze. And there, a single star shines brightly, never wavering. Place your hand upon your chest and whisper, "I am the unmoving star. I am direction within the storm." Continue until sleep carries you away. In dreams, that star will lead you through the deepest darkness of the subconscious until you arrive at the shore of serenity. Tomorrow morning, you will feel different. Perhaps the outer storm has not faded, but within you, a light remains unshakable, and that steadiness will change the way you act, the way you view every challenge. You will no longer panic, but calmly steer. You will no longer doubt, but know with certainty that a light is guiding you. The inner North Star is not something you must search for afar. It is the I am consciousness, the awareness that you are already enough, already steady, already luminous, even when chaos surrounds you. Once you connect to it, no storm can drive you astray. Steering through the storm of doubt is not about dispelling the waves, but about learning to see through them, to behold the unmoving light. And tonight, as you close your eyes, remember, you are not merely drifting into sleep. You are guiding your vessel across the vast sea, and the North Star in your heart will lead you safely to shore. You do not need to control the ocean. You only need to keep your light from fading. And when you do that, no storm will ever be strong enough to throw you off course. Every dream you have ever held, every silent desire in your heart, never vanishes into nothingness. They become invisible threads, rising and hovering in the space of the subconscious. And at night, when you sleep, the universe opens its vast loom. Each thread of thought, each whispered affirmation, each emotion you nurture, all are fed into that loom, to be woven into the fabric called reality. You do not merely dream and then awaken, you are weaving. Each night, the cosmic loom is at work, and your life is the tapestry taking shape. The ancients believed there were invisible artisans who tended this loom, spirits known as weavers of light. In the legends of Kashmir, there was a maiden named Ilara. She never wove cloth with her hands as others did, but wove with dreams. Each night, she sat before a wooden loom placed in the center of her room, closed her eyes, and let her soul drift into the realm of dreams. In those dreams, she saw herself holding a shuttle of gold, moving it back and forth through threads of light. Each thread was an affirmation. I am peace. I am prosperity. I am love. When she awoke, the fabric on her loom had changed wondrously, its colors more radiant, its patterns brimming with vitality. Ilara understood that the cosmic loom is always present, only that most people weave unconsciously. By day, they spin threads of worry, of doubt, of limitation. By night, the loom faithfully weaves them all into the fabric of life. And when morning comes, they are surprised that the new day is laden with what they did not wish for. But in truth, those were the very patterns they had left behind in the night. Ilara was different. She chose each thread. She placed into the loom only what she wished to see become real. The cosmic loom never rests. Every thought you have, no matter how small, is a thread. Every emotion, no matter how fleeting, becomes a color. Every I am, you whisper, is the shuttle, moving back and forth, binding warp and weft. Once you grasp this law, You no longer let life weave itself at random. You become the weaver of your own destiny. Picture tonight, before you sleep, stepping into a softly lit room. Before you stands an immense loom, strung with threads shimmering like stars. Each thread carries meaning: emerald green for healing, golden yellow for prosperity, deep crimson for love, silver white for wisdom. Beside the loom lies a shuttle of light. You take it, breathe deeply, and begin to pass it through. Each time you whisper an affirmation of "I am," a thread glows and enters the fabric. You continue, until the tapestry shines with patterns reflecting the very desires in your heart. Then you release it, allowing the cosmic loom to keep weaving through your sleep. When you wake, you carry that tapestry with you, unseen. It drapes over every decision, every action, every opportunity of the day. Others may simply see you, but they cannot know you are wearing a new garment, the garment woven from last night's dreams. And that garment changes the way the world responds to you. Ilara once said, "Whoever controls the threads of the night weaves the fate of the day." This was not just a beautiful saying, but a truth. For your subconscious does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It only knows how to weave. If you give it the thread of fear, it weaves a reality full of obstacles. If you give it the thread of trust, it weaves a path made smooth. If you give it the thread of love, it weaves a world overflowing with harmony. Ask yourself, each night, what threads are you feeding into the cosmic loom? Are you letting unconscious worries slip in, or are you choosing with clarity and sending forth intentional strands? The world does not take form by accident. It is woven, piece by piece, from the very fabric of your mind. Tonight, become a conscious weaver. Choose 3 threads, 3 clear affirmations, and place them into the loom of sleep. Do not let your mind wander aimlessly. Let it weave the exact pattern you desire. Remember, like Ilara, you can create a fabric colored with prosperity, with peace, with love. And each new day, you will wear that fabric. The cosmic loom never errs. It simply reflects precisely what you feed into it. If you want a different life, do not wait for miracles from outside. Change the threads within. Plant new affirmations. Weave brighter patterns. And soon, you will see life transform as though a fresh tapestry has just left the loom. You are not merely a dreamer. You are a weaver, and the cosmic loom awaits your hands each night. Take the shuttle of light. Whisper, "I am," with certainty, and let sleep become the workshop of destiny. Tomorrow morning, as you awaken, you will find yourself clothed in an entirely new reality, woven from your very dreams. Throughout history, humanity has longed to uncover the secret of turning lead into gold. Alchemists toiled endlessly at their furnaces, lighting fires, mixing compounds, hammering metals, believing that a base element could be transformed into a treasure. Yet there is a deeper truth. The gold they sought was not only within minerals, but within human thought itself. For every thought, if nurtured and transmuted in the right way, holds the power to turn the heavy weight of limitation into the pure richness of abundance. Look at life. There are thoughts like heavy bars of lead. They drag you down, binding you to fear, lack, and doubt. But it is precisely from there that the process of alchemy begins. With the right affirmation, with powerful emotion, with unshakable belief, you can melt that lead and turn it into gold. This process does not take place in a laboratory, but in your own subconscious. An ancient tale speaks of Aldrin, a revered alchemist of the East. For many years he never produced physical gold, and the people mocked him. Yet when illness, poverty, and despair came upon them, those same people who once jeered came to him for guidance. Aldrin smiled, pointed to his heart, and said, "True gold is not in the earth, but in thought. If you wish to transform your life, learn to turn the lead of fear into the gold of faith, the lead of doubt into the gold of certainty, the lead of poverty into the gold of prosperity." And when he passed, people realized that the treasure he left behind was not metal, but a priceless spiritual inheritance. The alchemy of thought begins with a simple principle. Any idea repeated with belief will take shape in reality. At first, that thought may seem like a dull grey lump of lead. I am not good enough. I have no chance. I will fail. But if you dare to change the formula, if you replace it with, I am abundant, I am capable, I am successful, and persist each night, the subconscious will begin its work. It will melt the old lead, reshape it, and gradually, gold will appear in your life. It is important to understand that thoughts are never static. They are always in motion. Left unattended, they harden into burdens. But if you take hold of them, they become raw material for transformation. You don't need many, just one right thought, repeated, fueled by emotion, is enough to transform an entire life. Imagine that each night you step into an invisible furnace. Inside lie bars of lead, fear, doubt, wounds, limitations. In your hands you hold the fire of affirmation. When you whisper, I am light, that fire blazes, melting the heavy lead. When you say, I am prosperity, the metal begins to glow. When you affirm, I am love, even the darkest, hardest pieces dissolve, yielding pure gold. And by morning, you carry within you a new energy, lighter, brighter, richer. Those who have endured hardship know, pain can be the beginning of transformation. Lead is not meant to be discarded, but refined into gold. Doubt is not to be destroyed, but transmuted into faith. Every difficulty, when viewed correctly, is raw material for spiritual alchemy. Some ask, how will I know when I have turned lead into gold? The answer is simple. You will see the outer world change in response. Someone who once lived in lack, after practicing I am prosperity with full emotion, will suddenly find unexpected opportunities arising. Someone who once drowned in anxiety, after affirming I am peace long enough, will see the storms within quiet down. Someone who once doubted themselves, whispering, I am enough, each night, will begin acting with a confidence they never knew before. The alchemy of thought is not magic trickery. It is natural law. Just as seeds become trees, just as water becomes clouds, thoughts too become reality when planted correctly. The question is not whether it is possible, but whether you will choose to do it. Try an experiment for yourself. For the next 7 nights, select one bar of lead in your life, perhaps fear, scarcity, or a limiting belief. Each night, before sleep, place your hand on your heart and whisper the affirmation that is its complete opposite. Repeat until the accompanying emotion grows strong, until you truly believe it. Then watch. You will see change first small, then greater, until gold appears in your reality. Turning lead into gold is an immortal metaphor for the inner journey. It reminds you that no thought is useless, no darkness permanent. Everything can be transmuted, and the tool you need lies not outside, but in the affirmations you whisper each night. Tonight, as you close your eyes, step into the furnace of the subconscious. Place your bars of lead upon the table and ignite the fire of I am. Let the alchemy begin, and trust that by morning you will awaken with gold in your hands. Not material gold, but the gold of certainty, the gold of faith, the gold of a new reality taking shape. You are your own alchemist, and every thought you choose is the raw material of wonder. Choose wisely, practice persistently, and you will see that no bar of lead is ever wasted, for all can be turned into gold. There is a truth few recognize. The world you see each day is not its original essence, but the mirror reflecting the consciousness you carry within. Just as when you stand before a mirror, you never see yourself directly, only the image reflected back, so it is with reality. It does not show you absolute truth, but reflects the beliefs, emotions, and ideas you are nurturing. There is a legend about a temple hidden deep in the forest, where all 4 walls were covered entirely with mirrors. Whoever entered, if they carried joy in their hearts, would see countless smiling images reflecting back, filling their soul with even more happiness. But if they entered with anger, they would see thousands of furious faces glaring back, intensifying their rage. Many left and declared the temple haunted, but the wise keeper of the place only shook his head. The temple is not haunted. It is honest. It reflects exactly what you bring into it. Life itself is that temple of mirrors. If you are filled with doubt inside, you will see obstacles all around. If your heart is full of love, you will encounter endless opportunities to love. If your mind affirms prosperity, the world will reflect back the conditions for prosperity. The universe does not distinguish right from wrong, good from bad. It only reflects, and that mirror never knows how to lie. The subconscious is the greatest mirror of all. It continually records every word you whisper, every emotion you send forth, every image you hold before sleep. Then the next morning it reflects them as circumstances, people, events. You may be surprised when you encounter a familiar situation, a repeating obstacle, but in truth, it is only the mirror showing you that you still carry the same old belief. Only when the belief changes does the mirror reveal a different image. There was once a young man who complained that his life was filled only with betrayal. No matter how he changed his environment, his friends, or his work, the result remained the same. One day, he met a sage and poured out his frustrations. The sage brought him to a still lake and told him to look down. When the young man bent over, he saw his own gloomy reflection. The sage said, "The lake shows you only the face you bring to it. Life is the same. If your heart harbors doubt, you will only see the reflection of betrayal. When you change your gaze, the lake will change its image." From that day on, the young man began planting new affirmations in his heart. I am trust. I am love. I am loyalty. And gradually the outer world transformed as well. Night is when the true mirror works most powerfully. When reason relaxes, the subconscious records fully whatever you send into it. If before sleep you sow anxiety, the mirror will reflect a stifling day. But if you plant a clear affirmation, the mirror will reflect a new reality. This is not some random magic, but principle. The mirror always reflects, missing not a single detail. Try a small ritual. Before sleep, stand before a real mirror. Look deep into your eyes, not to check your appearance, but to connect with your soul. Say to that image, I am light, I am abundance, I am love. As you speak, the subconscious engraves it. As you sleep, the invisible mirror of the universe receives it. And when you awaken, you will begin to see the world reflecting those very affirmations. There is one thing to remember. The mirror does not judge. If you carry darkness, it reflects darkness. If you carry light, it reflects light. Do not blame the mirror for the image you dislike. Change what you bring to it, for only you are the source of that image. The true mirror is the most honest measure of the soul. It does not care what you say aloud. It only reflects what you truly believe in the depths. If you want to see a different world, you must become a different person within. When you change your beliefs, change your emotions, change your thoughts, the world will change its image, just as a clear mirror shifts its reflection when the person before it changes form. Tonight, as you close your eyes, remember that you are stepping into the mirror temple of the universe. Choose to carry with you clear thoughts, firm affirmations, pure emotions. Let the subconscious record them, so that when dawn arrives, the true mirror reflects back a world worthy of you. You are not bound by circumstances. You are only seeing the reflection of yourself. When you change within, the mirror changes its image. When you change your thoughts, reality changes its outcome. When you change your perception, the entire world changes its colors. You do not look into the mirror only to see yourself. You look into the mirror to know who you must become. And when you become, the true mirror will reflect not only your face, but the light of your soul. Amidst the vast, misty sea, where thick fog and storms render every direction lost, the lighthouse rises tall and steadfast. Its light turns in circles, cutting through the night, reminding sailors they were never truly alone. No matter how fierce the waves, as long as that light remained, the ship could still find its way back to shore. Human consciousness also has such a lighthouse, a light that never extinguishes, always guiding you through life's chaos. The outside world is full of turbulence. News floods in every day, the words of others make you waver, and unexpected situations throw you off balance. But remember this, your guiding light is not found in the noise out there, but within you. When you know how to turn inward, you will find an eternal beam, a light that never goes out, no matter how violent the storm. It is the awareness of I am, the unshakable affirmation that you always have direction. There is a story of Helena, a sea captain who lived in ancient times. She never relied entirely on the compass, but trusted in the light of the lighthouse. Before every voyage, she told her sailors, "Do not panic when the waves rise. Do not be confused when the clouds darken. Seek the light, and it will bring us home." Once, her ship was caught in a violent storm, and many sailors collapsed in despair. But Helena remained steady, her eyes fixed on the faint glow on the horizon. Though winds battered and waters surged, the ship stayed on course, and when dawn broke, they found themselves safe in the harbor. Her secret was not physical strength, but certainty that the light always existed. Life is much like that voyage. You cannot avoid storms, you cannot control the winds, but you can choose to keep the light in your mind. When you affirm each night before sleep, "I am light, I am direction, I am guidance," you are kindling the lighthouse of consciousness. In dreams, that light will shine, opening pathways through the dark regions of the subconscious. And the next morning, that light will still be there, illuminating your choices, your opportunities, your challenges. The lighthouse within is not a vague promise. It is an evident truth. You always have the ability to guide yourself. But that light only appears when you are willing to pause, when you are willing to be still and look inward. Amidst the noise of fear and worry, the light may seem hidden, yet it has never gone out. The moment you return, it shines again. Try an image tonight. As you close your eyes, imagine standing on the deck of a ship. The waves tilt and crash. The sky is heavy with dark clouds. You feel as though you are about to lose your way. But then, in the distance, a glow appears. It turns steadily, firmly, unshaken. You fix your gaze upon it, and your heart suddenly rests. You know you will reach shore not because the waves have calmed, but because the light guides you. As you sleep, that image engraves itself into your subconscious, becoming the compass for your life's journey. Tomorrow morning, you will feel different. Though the world around you may remain chaotic, you move with certainty. You know there is a light that will never abandon you. You no longer seek direction in the outer noise, but from the lighthouse in your heart. And through this you become immovable before the very things that once shook you. Some may ask, what happens if I've been lost for too long? The answer is, the light is still there, waiting for you to return. No mistake is large enough to extinguish it, no storm strong enough to erase it. The lighthouse of consciousness always stands, waiting for you to remember it exists. And once you turn back, you will realize the direction was never lost, only forgotten. The lighthouse does not argue with the dark, does not battle the waves, does not flee from the storm. It simply stands still and shines. So too with you. You do not need to fight the whole world to find certainty. You only need to return to the inner light, letting it illuminate the way. When you learn to stand still in that light, you yourself become the lighthouse for others. Your light guides lost souls around you, not through words, but through presence. Tonight, ignite the lighthouse within you. Choose a clear affirmation. Whisper it like a flame that never dies. I am light. I am certainty. I am direction. Let these words become the steady rotation, illuminating your sleep. And tomorrow, you will see that light walk with you, guiding you through each situation, each storm, each turning. You are not a drifting vessel in the night sea. You are the bearer of light. And when you recognize this, you will see that no darkness has the power to make you lose your way. For the lighthouse of consciousness within you has always been, is now, and will forever be the guiding light. There is a paradox that humanity always carries in its heart. Everyone knows life is fleeting, yet within every moment, the soul longs for eternity. Time flows like a ceaseless river, sweeping away youth, dreams, and even love. And yet, there are strange moments when we feel as though we have stepped outside that flow, into a place where everything halts, still, immortal. That is when time turns into eternity, when the moment itself becomes a doorway into infinite mystery. There is a story of a sage named Calus, who lived in a small village on the edge of a cliff. He did not teach with books, but with moments. Once, a student asked him, "Master, what is eternity?" Calus did not answer right away. Instead, he led the young man outside, and they sat in silence before the sunrise. When the sun rose over the horizon and its light bathed the valley in gold, he finally spoke. "Do you see, when the mind ceases to chase the past or worry for the future, This very moment is eternity, not in the endlessness of years, but in the depth of the present. We often confuse eternity with an endless stretch of time, but in truth, it is liberation from time. When the mind rests fully in a single moment, not pulled by memory or projection, that moment opens into infinite space. This is the secret understood by sages, mystics, and those who truly listen to life. The present moment itself is the gateway to eternity. In sleep, the subconscious often carries you through fragments of memory, patchwork images from yesterday. But if, before sleep, you know how to plant stillness within it, you will open a different space where dreams are no longer trapped in the chain of time, but drift into eternity. There, you may meet one who has long departed, touch a future not yet lived, or experience union with the universe. Those moments are not limited by the clock, for the subconscious measures not by minutes, but by depth. Remember a time when you were immersed in an experience that made you forget time itself. It may have been a sunset that held you still, a piece of music that moved you to tears, or a gaze that made you forget to breathe. In that moment, you were not thinking of the past, nor worrying for the future. You were simply present, and that presence made the moment eternal. The subconscious remembers such states clearly. If, before sleep, you whisper, "I am presence, I am eternity," you are drawing the mind out of time's spiral, back to its original nature, limitless. In dreams, you may find yourself in strange spaces where there is no day or night, no beginning or end. And when you wake, you carry with you a serenity no longer pressed by time. The wonder is that when you live in the present, you can still do everything, even better. You are no longer scattered by regret or anxiety, so energy focuses on the moment. Like an artisan carving a statue, every stroke is not saved for tomorrow, but poured wholly into now. It is this fullness that turns labor into art and life into a masterpiece. Here is a simple secret. Instead of asking, "When will I succeed?" ask, "How fully can I be present in what I am doing now?" When you are truly present, success is no longer a future destination, but the natural flow of the present. Eternity is not in tomorrow, but in completeness right here. In the ancient Greek temples, the words, "Know thyself," were carved. Yet few realize that to know oneself, one must first pause in the present. Only when you stop chasing past and future can you see your true nature. Not a body aging with the years, but an immortal soul, infinite light. That is why the masters emphasized presence, for only in presence do you touch eternity. Tonight, before sleep, try a simple ritual. Take a deep breath. Let the mind release all worry and memory. Whisper, "I am presence, I am eternity." Let sleep carry you into the space where time has no boundary. When you wake, you will see the new day not as a sequence of hours, but as the flow of moments, and in each moment, you can live fully, as if touching the infinite. Time is the river, but eternity is the still lake beneath. When you live on the surface, you are swept away. But when you dive below, you touch the unchanging stillness. That is where your soul truly belongs. You do not need to search for eternity in some distant future. It is here, in every breath, in every heartbeat, in every moment you are truly present. When you understand this, time is no longer your enemy, but your companion, leading you into wholeness. You are not a runner racing against the clock. You are the one who steps into the moment and makes it endless. And once you live this way, you realize the secret of eternity was never far away. It has always been in this moment, the only moment that truly belongs to you. Every journey comes to an end, but not to stop. The ending is only a formality, while the essence continues in a rhythm that never ceases. The universe never falls silent, it only changes its melody. And human beings, like a single note within that grand symphony, never truly stop. They only change roles, change forms, change ways of appearing. That is the eternal dance of becoming. Each night, as you enter sleep, consciousness slips away from the body, like a dancer leaving the stage. But the night is not an end. It is the moment to change steps, to learn a new dance, to practice movements you never dared try in the daylight. The subconscious is the vast stage where you rehearse with infinite possibilities, unbound by gravity or fear. And the next morning, when you open your eyes, what you practiced in the night quietly weaves into life, making every movement, every decision, every word of yours more subtle and powerful. Becoming is not a destination. It is a continuous flow where every step, every thought, every breath is shaping a new you. People often ask, when will I finally arrive? But the truth is, you have never ceased. Every moment, you are already a different version. You are not the replica of yesterday, nor are you chained to tomorrow. You are the dance itself in motion, and the essence of the dance is to be ever becoming. Observe a flame. It never stands still, never keeps the same shape, yet that constant change is the very sign of life. So it is with you. Do not try to lock yourself into a fixed, flawless image. Allow yourself to move, to change, to step between light and shadow, for only in that harmony can you become whole. The eternal dance does not demand perfection, it demands presence. When you are present, every step you take carries a sacred rhythm. When you release the need to please the past or control the future, every moment you live becomes a step in the endless dance of the soul, and every whispered "I am" before you sink into sleep is the drumbeat that begins a new variation. The art of living is not in holding on, but in knowing when to release. Just as a dancer cannot stay frozen in a single pose, you cannot cling forever to an old version of yourself. You must be willing to change rhythm, change step, change melody. Only when you dare release can you dare to become. And it is this continuous becoming that brings you closer to the ultimate truth. You are the current, not the rock. You are the music, not a solitary note. Remember, you do not need to wait for some special day to begin this dance. Every night, when you lay yourself down, the doorway is already open. Let sleep no longer be forgetfulness, but a stage where you rehearse for a new life. Whisper the words you wish to engrave upon your soul. I am light, I am strength, I am love, I am becoming. Those words, like music rising in the dark, will guide your steps on tomorrow's stage. The eternal dance belongs to no one alone. It belongs to all, the old as well as the young, the rich as well as the poor. Everyone is already dancing. The only difference is that some dance unconsciously, while others dance in awareness. If you are awake, every movement you make will carry meaning. Every change will become creation. And instead of being swept away by the chaotic music of the world, you will compose the melody for yourself. There is a quiet truth. The soul does not fear death, because it knows death is only a rest within the music, a pause in the dance. After the pause, the music rises again. The dance continues in a new form, with a new rhythm. So do not let fear imprison you in repetition. Dance, become, shine within this endless choreography. You have walked through this journey of stories, from the silk of the merchant of Damascus, to the song within the secret temple, to the seeds in the night garden, to the cosmic loom, and even the diamond blade shaping consciousness. Each chapter is a beat, each lesson a step. And now, as all of them come together, you see they are not fragments, but movements flowing into one dance. That dance is becoming the unending journey of your soul. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine yourself standing in an infinite square, surrounded by light, music, and movement. Every soul is dancing the winds, the rivers, the distant stars, and so are you. Step into the dance, let your whispered "I am" resound with the rhythm of the cosmos. Do not fear missteps, for in the eternal dance, there are no mistakes. There is only continuation. Remember, this dance never ends. Each day you only move from one rhythm to another, from one stage to the next, and in every night's sleep, you are rehearsing for a greater, deeper, freer dance. When you awaken, you need only carry that rhythm into your life. The universe does not demand perfection. It only invites you to dance. And each time you whisper, "I am," you have already agreed, already entered, already become part of the endless symphony of creation. This is not the conclusion of a journey, but the invitation. Continue, dance further, become again. The eternal dance of becoming is already unfolding, and you in this very moment are already a step in eternity.